President Karen Lewis sat in the Oval Office on Earth and considered the most important decision in human history. The Federation had been completely defeated, and now humanity had to choose what to do with the galaxy they had conquered. Karen had the power to destroy every alien civilization that had supported the Federation, but she was thinking about a different path that might be better for everyone. The Federation Council had sent a formal surrender message begging humanity to show mercy to the billions of alien civilians who had never wanted war with Earth. Chancellor Vexitar admitted that the Federation leadership had made a terrible mistake by exiling humanity and asked what terms the humans would accept for peace. Ambassador Ryan Clark had been chosen to represent humanity in negotiations with the surviving Federation leaders, and he carried an offer that would change galactic society forever. Ryan was authorized to propose the creation of a new organization, called the Multiversal Alliance, that would replace the Federation with a system based on cooperation rather than domination. General Paul Mitchell commanded the human occupation forces that had taken control of former Federation territory, and he was working to maintain order while alien societies figured out what their future would look like. Paul's soldiers were helping alien civilians rebuild their worlds, but they were also making sure that the old Federation power structures could never return. The terms that humanity offered were simple but revolutionary. Any species could join the Multiversal Alliance if they were willing to abandon the rigid caste systems and hierarchies that the Federation had used to maintain control. Species that refused to change would be exiled to a single dimension just like Earth had been 50 years earlier. Many alien civilizations immediately began applying for membership in the Multiversal Alliance because they had seen what human technology could accomplish, and they wanted access to dimensional travel and consciousness transfer systems. The species that had been oppressed by the Federation for thousands of years were especially eager to join humanity's new galactic order. Jake Morrison had been promoted to Admiral of the Allied Fleet, and he was overseeing the integration of former Federation worlds into the Multiversal Alliance. Jake's job was to help alien species adapt to technologies that had been impossible under Federation rule while making sure they understood the responsibilities that came with Alliance membership. Dr. Sam Rodriguez was leading research teams that were teaching alien scientists how to work with dimensional technology and consciousness transfer systems. Sam found that most species could adapt to human innovations much faster than anyone had expected, and within months, some alien worlds were building their own dimensional facilities. The Federation's member species began defecting in massive numbers as they realized that joining humanity offered them opportunities for growth and development that had been forbidden under the old system. The rigid social structures that had kept alien civilizations locked in place for millennia started crumbling as species discovered they could reinvent themselves completely. President Karen Lewis addressed the galaxy in a speech that was broadcast across all dimensions and time periods simultaneously so that every intelligent being who had ever existed could hear humanity's message. She explained that Earth bore no hatred toward individual aliens, but the Federation's system of oppression would never be allowed to return. Some Federation loyalist groups tried to continue fighting human forces, but they discovered that their weapons and tactics were completely useless against enemies who could attack from any time or place they chose. The resistance movements were defeated so quickly that most aliens never even knew they had existed. Ambassador Ryan Clark established the new galactic government on a space station that existed in multiple dimensions at the same time, so representatives from different realities could meet and work together. The Multiversal Alliance included not just the species from Federation space, but also alternate versions of civilizations that had developed along different evolutionary paths. Human colonies began appearing throughout former Federation territory, but these settlements were different from traditional planetary colonies. The human cities existed partially in normal space and partially in alternate dimensions, which allowed them to house billions of people without taking up much physical room on alien worlds. General Paul Mitchell reported that the transition to Alliance rule was proceeding more smoothly than anyone had expected. Most alien species were adapting well to their new freedoms, and many were already developing technologies that had been impossible under Federation restrictions. The old fears about chaos without rigid hierarchies proved to be completely wrong. Dr. Sam Rodriguez made a disturbing discovery while examining captured Federation archives. The aliens had been developing weapons that were designed specifically to destroy human consciousness across multiple dimensions simultaneously. These weapons had never been used, but they showed that the Federation leadership had been planning genocide on a scale that would have erased humanity from all possible realities. Jake Morrison received reports from human exploration teams that had discovered the full extent of Federation territory across parallel dimensions. The aliens had been secretly colonizing alternate realities for thousands of years, but they had kept this expansion hidden from their own people to maintain the illusion that resources were limited and strict hierarchies were necessary. President Karen Lewis made the decision to reveal the Federation's hidden dimensional colonies to the galaxy and show all species how much living space and resources were actually available. The discovery that the Federation leadership had been artificially creating scarcity to maintain control caused massive social upheavals on worlds throughout the galaxy. The Multiversal Alliance grew to include hundreds of species and thousands of dimensional colonies within the first year after the Federation's defeat. Human technology allowed civilizations to expand into realities where different laws of physics applied, and some species discovered they could thrive in dimensions that had previously been considered completely uninhabitable. Ambassador Ryan Clark negotiated agreements with alternate versions of humanity from parallel dimensions where Earth had never been exiled by the Federation. These other human civilizations shared their own technological developments and helped create an alliance network that spanned infinite realities. Earth returned to normal space for the first time in 50 years, but it was no longer alone. Hundreds of planets from across the multiverse phased into reality around the solar system as humanity revealed the hidden worlds of the Multiversal Alliance. The sight of so many different civilizations working together peacefully amazed alien observers who had grown up believing that competition and conflict were inevitable. General Paul Mitchell established the Alliance Defense Force, which included soldiers from dozens of different species and multiple dimensions. The new military was designed to protect member worlds from any threats that might emerge, but its main purpose was to prevent any group from ever again trying to impose the kind of authoritarian control that the Federation had maintained. Dr. Sam Rodriguez opened research facilities where human and alien scientists could work together to develop technologies that were impossible for any single species to create alone. The combination of human dimensional science with alien expertise in other fields led to discoveries that revolutionized life throughout the galaxy. Jake Morrison commanded Alliance fleets that explored previously unknown regions of space and established contact with civilizations that had never encountered either humans or the Federation. Many of these species chose to join the Alliance after seeing how member worlds were thriving under the new system of cooperative governance. President Karen Lewis signed the final treaty that formally dissolved the Federation and established the Multiversal Alliance as the new galactic government. The ceremony was attended by representatives from thousands of species and broadcast. across multiple dimensions, so that beings throughout the multiverse could witness the birth of a new age of cooperation and freedom. The story ended with children from dozens of different species playing together on Alliance worlds and learning about the dark period when the Federation had kept civilizations trapped in single dimensions and forced to fight over limited resources. These children could barely imagine how anyone had ever lived in such a small and lonely universe when infinite realities were available to explore. Admiral Mike Thompson commanded a fleet that existed in 17 different dimensions at the same time, and he was preparing to show the Federation the true scope of what humanity had become during their exile. Mike's ships could attack enemy targets from multiple realities simultaneously while remaining completely invisible to alien sensors that were designed to work in only one dimension. The Federation military leaders were starting to panic as reports came in from across their territory describing impossible human capabilities. Alien commanders reported that human soldiers could not be killed because when their bodies were destroyed, their minds would simply transfer into new bodies and continue fighting. The Federation had never encountered an enemy that treated death as nothing more than a temporary inconvenience. Dr. Kate Wilson had developed the consciousness transfer technology that allowed human minds to move between different bodies and even exist in multiple bodies at the same time. Kate's breakthrough meant that human soldiers could be fighting battles on dozens of different worlds simultaneously while sharing memories and experiences across all their different forms. The Federation tried to counter human attacks by building new types of sensors and weapons that could detect enemies hiding in alternate dimensions, but every defensive measure they developed was defeated within days. Human technology seemed to evolve faster than alien scientists could understand it, and each new human weapon was more impossible than the last. Commander Alex Turner led humanity's Time Warfare Division, and his forces could attack Federation targets before the aliens even knew a war was starting. Alex's soldiers would travel backwards in time to plant explosives in enemy bases that would detonate during the current battle. The Federation found themselves losing fights that had been decided in their past before they ever had a chance to defend themselves. The Federation Council called an emergency meeting of their greatest military minds to discuss how they could possibly fight an enemy that seemed to have unlimited power. The alien generals admitted that they had no strategy that could work against humans who could attack from any time or place they chose while being completely immune to conventional weapons. Jake Morrison revealed that humanity had been recruiting allies from across the multiverse, including versions of alien species who had developed along different paths than their Federation counterparts. Some of these alternate aliens had never developed the rigid caste systems that the Federation used to maintain control, and they were eager to help humanity create a more fair galactic society. The Federation's most powerful psychic warriors were sent to fight human forces, but they found their mental abilities completely overwhelmed by enemies whose consciousness existed across multiple dimensions. The alien psychics could not read human minds because the thoughts they were trying to access were spread across dozens of different realities at the same time. Human battle fleets began appearing throughout Federation space using technology that allowed them to travel instantly between any points in the galaxy without using traditional faster-than-light drives. The alien military could not predict where humans would attack next because the attacks came from outside normal space-time where Federation sensors could not detect any movement. Admiral Mike Thompson's flagship engaged a Federation super dreadnought. That was supposed to be the most powerful warship ever built by any species in the galaxy. The alien vessel carried enough firepower to destroy entire solar systems, but Mike's ship defeated it by attacking from the past and future simultaneously. The super dreadnought was destroyed by weapons that hit it before the battle even started, and after it had already ended. Dr. Kate Wilson demonstrated the full capabilities of human consciousness technology by appearing in the Federation Council chambers while her body remained safely on Earth thousands of light years away. She explained to the alien leaders that humanity had evolved beyond the physical limitations that other species accepted as unchangeable facts of existence. The Federation's fortress worlds that had been considered completely invincible began falling to human assault forces that could attack from inside the planet's core by traveling through dimensional space. Human soldiers would appear in the middle of underground bunkers that had no entrances and capture alien commanders who thought they were completely safe. Commander Alex Turner's time warfare units began erasing Federation victories from history by traveling into the past and preventing battles from happening the way they originally did. The alien military found that even their past successes were being taken away from them as human forces rewrote the timeline to ensure Federation defeat. The Federation tried to negotiate a ceasefire by offering to restore Earth's membership in Galactic Society, but humanity's response made it clear that they were no longer interested in joining the Federation. Admiral Lisa Carter explained that humans had created something far better than the Federation during their exile, and they had no desire to return to the old system of galactic government. Human forces demonstrated their ability to attack multiple dimensions by simultaneously destroying Federation bases that existed in alternate realities. The aliens discovered that every possible version of their military was being defeated by human forces who could coordinate attacks across infinite parallel universes. Dr. Kate Wilson showed the Federation Council recordings of human colonies that had been established in dimensions where different laws of physics applied. Some human settlements existed in realities where faster-than-light travel was easy, while others were built in dimensions where time moved backwards. Humanity had adapted to live in any type of reality that existed. The Federation's greatest champions and heroes from thousands of years of galactic history were all defeated by human forces using weapons and tactics that made conventional warfare completely obsolete. The alien leaders finally began to understand that they were not fighting another species, but had encountered something that transcended all their ideas about what life could become. Admiral Mike Thompson broadcasted a message to every Federation world explaining that humanity was offering all species the chance to join a new type of galactic civilization based on cooperation rather than domination. The humans were not interested in ruling the galaxy, but they would not allow the Federation to continue oppressing other species with their rigid hierarchies. The Federation military made one final desperate attempt to defeat humanity by gathering their remaining forces into a massive fleet that included every warship they could still control. The alien armada represented thousands of years of Federation military development and included weapons that had never been used in actual combat because they were too powerful. Commander Alex Turner's Time Warfare Division responded to the Federation's last stand by attacking the alien fleet across multiple time periods simultaneously. The Federation ships found themselves being destroyed in the past, present, and future all at the same time, while human forces that had not even been born yet participated in the battle. Chancellor Vexitar finally accepted that the Federation had been completely defeated by an enemy that had evolved beyond anything their civilization could comprehend. The alien leader realized that humanity had used their 50 years of exile to become something that the galaxy had never seen before, and would probably never see again. Dr. Sam Rodriguez sat in his laboratory on the hidden Earth and watched the Federation fleet struggle to understand what was happening to them. The aliens had no idea that Earth had not just disappeared, but had actually been moved into a pocket. dimension where time moved much faster than in normal space. While 50 years passed in the regular galaxy, hundreds of years had gone by for humanity, and they had used every moment to prepare for this war. The dimensional shift technology was something that Sam had discovered during his time as a Federation prisoner. He learned that the aliens knew about parallel dimensions, but they were afraid to experiment with them because they thought it was too dangerous. Sam realized that humans would need to take risks that other species would never consider if they wanted to survive against the entire galaxy. General Carl Hayes commanded the human ground forces that were preparing to invade Federation worlds, and he had soldiers who could do things that should have been impossible. The human troops could phase through solid walls and appear inside enemy fortresses without using doors or windows. They carried weapons that could fire shots that would hit targets in the past before the soldiers even pulled their triggers. Dr. Rachel Young was the physicist who had figured out how to move an entire planet between dimensions, and she was still amazed that the plan had actually worked. Moving Earth had required building engines that were larger than most cities and using more energy than the entire galaxy produced in a normal year. The project took 20 years to complete, and thousands of the best human scientists worked on it in total secrecy. Captain Steve Parker commanded humanity's new flagship vessel, and he was getting ready to show the Federation what human technology could really do. Steve's ship existed in multiple dimensions at the same time, which meant it could attack targets from directions that aliens could not see or defend against. The ship could also repair itself by pulling materials from alternate versions of reality where the damage had never happened. The first major battle of the war took place at Kepler Station, which was a massive Federation military base that protected one of their most important trade routes. The Federation commanders expected the humans to attack with conventional weapons and tactics, but instead, they faced something that had never been seen before in galactic warfare. Human ships appeared around Kepler Station from what seemed like empty space and began firing weapons that ignored the station's defensive shields completely. The alien defenders tried to shoot back, but their targeting systems could not lock onto enemies that were phasing in and out of normal reality. Within an hour, the most heavily defended base in Federation space was under complete human control. Admiral Lisa Carter broadcast a message to the entire galaxy from her command center on Earth, explaining what humanity had accomplished during their 50 years of exile. She told the alien civilizations that the Federation had made a terrible mistake by trying to isolate Earth, because humans had used that time to evolve beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Federation Council met in emergency session to discuss the reports they were receiving from the front lines. Chancellor Vextar could not believe that primitive humans were defeating his advanced military forces, but the evidence was impossible to ignore. Federation ships that had ruled space for thousands of years were being destroyed by weapons that worked in ways alien science could not explain. The human assault on Federation territory continued with attacks that seemed to violate the basic laws of physics. Human soldiers appeared inside sealed bunkers and captured alien commanders without anyone seeing how they got there. Human ships traveled between star systems instantly without using any known form of faster-than-light technology. Jake Morrison led a strike force against the Federation's main shipyard facility where they built their most advanced warships. The human fleet attacked from multiple dimensions simultaneously, and the alien defenders found themselves fighting enemies who could hide in parallel realities and emerge at will. The shipyard that had taken centuries to build was completely destroyed in less than 6 hours. Dr. Sam Rodriguez revealed the full scope of humanity's transformation in a detailed report that was transmitted to every Federation world. He explained, That Earth's pocket dimension had contained not just their homeworld, but an entire civilization that had grown to span hundreds of star systems. While the Federation governed their single galaxy, humans had built an empire across multiple dimensions. The Federation military tried to develop new weapons and tactics to fight the human forces, but every strategy they attempted failed completely. Alien scientists could not understand how human technology worked because it was based on principles that the Federation had never discovered. The humans were not just more advanced, but they had become something entirely different from any other species in the galaxy. General Carl Hayes began the invasion of Federation worlds with ground forces that could walk through walls and appear anywhere they wanted to go. The alien armies that tried to stop them found themselves fighting an enemy that could attack from inside their own bases and disappear before anyone could fight back. Fortress worlds that had never been conquered fell to human forces in a matter of days. Captain Steve Parker's flagship engaged a Federation battle fleet that included some of their most powerful warships. The alien commanders were confident they could defeat a single human vessel, but Steve's ship attacked them from multiple dimensions at once. The Federation fleet was destroyed so quickly that some of the alien ships were blown apart before their crews even realized they were under attack. The news of humanity's victories spread across Federation space, and many alien species began to question whether they wanted to continue supporting the war. Some civilizations that had been conquered by the Federation thousands of years ago started to wonder if the humans might be able to free them from alien rule. Admiral Lisa Carter addressed the Federation Council directly through a transmission that bypassed all their security systems. She told the alien leaders that humanity had no interest in conquering the galaxy, but they would not allow the Federation to continue oppressing other species. She offered the Federation a choice between surrender and complete destruction. Dr. Rachel Young explained to a gathering of human military commanders how the dimensional technology gave them advantages that no other species could match. Human forces could attack from directions that did not exist in normal space and retreat to dimensions where enemy weapons could not reach them. The Federation was fighting a war against an enemy that could bend reality itself to their will. The Federation's greatest champions and most elite military units were defeated one by human forces that seemed to have unlimited capabilities. Psychic warriors who could read minds and see the future found themselves overwhelmed by humans who existed across multiple realities simultaneously. Invincible battle fleets were destroyed by weapons that fired backwards through time to hit their targets before the shots were even fired. Chancellor Vexitar finally began to understand that the Federation had not just picked a fight with a primitive species, but had awakened something that could reshape the entire galaxy. The humans had spent 50 years in exile, becoming a force that was beyond anything the Federation could hope to defeat, and now they were returning to claim their place among the stars. The Federation fleet was the most powerful military force in the galaxy, and everyone knew it. Admiral Kethron commanded over 3,000 warships that carried weapons capable of destroying entire planets. The alien fleet used exotic matter, engines that could travel faster than light, and their ships had quantum shields that could stop any known weapon. No single world had ever challenged the Federation's military might and won. Tony Reeves watched the Federation ships from his stealth vessel called the Phantom's Edge and counted how many targets he would have to work with. The alien fleet was spread across 12 star systems as they moved toward where they thought Earth should be. Tony's job was to get aboard the Federation command ship without being detected, and that was going to be easier than the aliens could possibly imagine. The Federation had no idea that humans had been infiltrating their society for decades. After The exile human agents had used advanced genetic modification to disguise themselves as different alien species, and they had joined Federation crews as regular officers. Some of these human agents had been serving on alien ships for 20 years and had earned the trust of their alien commanders. Maria Santos was the chief engineer on a Federation battle cruiser, and none of her alien crewmates knew she was actually human. Maria had been born on Earth, but she had lived most of her adult life pretending to be a member of the Vorthon species. The genetic modifications were so perfect that even detailed medical scans could not tell the difference. Maria was married to a Vorthon officer, and they even had children together. When Maria received the coded message from Earth, she knew it was time to begin the next phase of the plan. She started making small changes to the ship's systems that would cause equipment failures at exactly the right moments. The alien crew would think their ship was having technical problems, but really Maria was preparing to disable their weapons and shields when human forces attacked. Colonel Ben Davis led a team of human boarding specialists who had been training for this mission for 15 years. Ben's soldiers could phase through solid metal walls using technology that the Federation had never seen before. The boarding teams would appear inside enemy ships without warning and take control of critical systems before the alien crews knew what was happening. The first Federation ships started experiencing problems while they were still days away from the Sol system. Navigation computers began showing incorrect star maps, and weapon systems kept shutting down for no apparent reason. The alien commanders thought their ships needed maintenance, but really they were being sabotaged from the inside by human agents, who had been waiting years for this moment. Captain Zex Talar commanded a Federation destroyer, and he was getting very frustrated with all the technical problems his ship was having. The quantum shields kept fluctuating, and the exotic matter engines were running at reduced power. Zex Talar called his engineering team to the bridge and demanded to know what was wrong with his ship. What he did not know was that half of his engineering team were actually human agents in disguise. Jake Morrison's reconnaissance fleet began striking Federation supply bases while the main alien fleet was still traveling toward Earth. The human ships appeared without warning and destroyed their targets before Federation forces could respond. The alien commanders could not understand how human ships were moving so fast or how they were able to avoid detection by Federation sensors. The Federation tried to send reinforcements to protect their supply lines, but the human attacks were happening too quickly and in too many places at once. Every time Federation ships arrived at a base that had been attacked, they found nothing but debris and another cryptic message from the humans. The messages all said the same thing, which was that the Federation should have left Earth alone. Admiral Kethron was starting to worry about the strange reports he was receiving from across Federation space. Human ships seemed to be everywhere at once, and they were using technology that should not exist. The Admiral had studied human capabilities during the exile, and Earth was supposed to have only primitive weapons and slow ships that could barely leave their own solar system. Dr. Sam Rodriguez had spent years analyzing Federation military doctrine while he was their prisoner, and he found a critical weakness in how they organized their fleets. The aliens relied too much on centralized command and control systems, which meant that if you could disrupt their communications, the entire fleet would become confused and unable to coordinate their attacks. Tony Reeves successfully infiltrated the Federation command ship by using a device that could make him temporarily invisible to alien sensors. He planted small devices throughout the ship that would interfere with their communication systems at exactly the right moment. When the human fleet attacked the Federation, commanders would not be able to talk to each other or coordinate their defense. The Federation fleet finally reached the Sol system and found empty space where Earth should have been. Admiral Kethron ordered his ships to search the entire system for any sign of the missing planet, but their scans found nothing. The only evidence that Earth had ever existed was the strange message that kept repeating on all frequencies. While the Federation ships were searching for Earth, Jake Morrison's fleet attacked them from multiple directions at once. The human ships seemed to appear out of nowhere, and their weapons went right through the alien quantum shields like they were not even there. Federation ships that had never been damaged in thousands of battles were being destroyed by enemies they could barely detect. The alien crews tried to fight back, but their weapon systems kept failing at critical moments, thanks to the sabotage. Work done by human agents. Ships that should have been able to destroy planets could barely fire a single shot before their systems shut down. The Federation commanders started to realize that they had been infiltrated, but by then it was too late to do anything about it. Maria Santos revealed her true identity to her alien crewmates just before she disabled their ship's main reactor. The Vorthon officer, who was her husband, looked at her in shock as she explained that she had been human all along. Maria told him that humans held no anger toward individual aliens, but the Federation as an organization had to be stopped. Colonel Ben Davis and his boarding teams appeared inside a dozen Federation ships at the same time. The human soldiers moved through the alien vessels like ghosts and took control of bridge stations before the crews could mount any resistance. Within minutes, Ben's teams had captured some of the most powerful warships in the galaxy without firing a single shot. The Federation fleet that had been the pride of galactic civilization was falling apart under attack from an enemy they had thought was primitive and defeated. Admiral Kethron sent an emergency message to Federation Command asking for reinforcements, but the reply he received made him realize that the war was already lost. Earth had not just survived their exile, but had used those 50 years to become something the galaxy had never seen before. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the stars through the main window and thinking about the message that had just arrived from Earth. The Federation Council had finally done what everyone knew they would do someday. They had declared war on humanity. Jake smiled as he read the formal declaration again, because after 50 years of waiting, this was exactly what Earth had been preparing for. The message was written in the usual Federation style with lots of big words and fancy language that was supposed to sound important. It said that humanity had violated the Exile Treaty by expanding into forbidden space sectors, and that the Federation would now take military action to stop them. What the Federation did not know was that humanity had been hoping for this day to come. Admiral Lisa Carter appeared on the communication screen from Earth Command, and Jake could see she was trying not to smile too much. The plan they had worked on for decades was finally starting. Lisa had been in charge of Earth's secret military buildup ever since the exile began, and she knew every detail of what was about to happen. The Federation had kicked humanity out of galactic society 50 years ago after what they called the Terra Incident. During first contact talks, human diplomats had made what the Federation said were terrible mistakes that led to 3 Federation worlds being destroyed. The aliens said humans were too dangerous and violent to be part of civilized space, so they banned Earth from ever leaving their home system again. What the Federation leaders thought was that humans would spend the next 50 years feeling sorry for themselves, and maybe eventually they would beg to be allowed back into galactic society. The Federation was completely wrong about what humans actually did during those 50 years. Dr. Sam Rodriguez had been one of the human prisoners held on Federation worlds after the Terra incident, and when he finally made it back to Earth, he told everyone what he had learned about alien technology and society. Sam spent years studying how the Federation worked, and he found all the weak spots in their system. He also learned that the Federation had grown soft and lazy after thousands of years of peace and no real challenges. Commander Amy Brooks was running flight tests on the new stealth fighters when the war declaration came through. These ships used technology that the Federation had never seen before and could not detect with their sensors. Amy had been training pilots for years to fly missions that the Federation would think were impossible. The stealth fighters could go anywhere in Federation space without being seen, and they carried weapons that could destroy alien ships before anyone knew they were under attack. The Federation Council was meeting on their capital world to discuss how they would handle the war against Earth. Chancellor Vextar was the leader of the Federation, and he was very proud of how powerful his military was. The Chancellor told the other alien leaders that destroying Earth would be easy because humans only had one planet and primitive technology. He said the Federation fleet would reach Earth in a few weeks and the war would be over quickly. What Chancellor Vextar did not know was that Federation scouts had already been sent to check on Earth, and what they found there made no sense at all. The scout ships arrived at the Sol system expecting to see Earth in its normal orbit around the Sun, but instead they found empty space. Earth was completely gone. There was no sign that the planet had been destroyed and no debris floating where it should have been. The Federation scouts ran every scan they could think of, but there was no trace of Earth or the billions of humans who had lived there. The only thing they found was a single message being broadcast on all communication frequencies. The message was very short and simple, and it said, "We received your declaration and we will see you soon." When the scout ships reported back to Federation Command, the alien leaders did not know what to think. Some of them wondered if Earth had been destroyed by some natural disaster, but the scouts said there was no evidence of any kind of explosion or catastrophe. Other Federation leaders thought maybe humans had somehow moved their planet, but that seemed impossible because no species had ever developed that kind of technology. Jake Morrison knew exactly where Earth had gone because he had helped plan the whole thing. Earth was not destroyed and humans had not run away to hide somewhere else. Instead, Earth had been moved into a special dimension that human scientists had discovered and learned how to use. From the outside, it looked like Earth had vanished, but really the planet was still there, just in a place where alien sensors could not detect it. The dimensional technology was something that Dr. Sam Rodriguez had figured out during his time as a Federation prisoner. He learned that aliens knew about other dimensions, but they thought it was too dangerous to actually travel between them. Humans decided that dangerous technology was exactly what they needed if they were going to survive a war against the entire galaxy. Moving Earth into the other dimension had taken years of preparation and enormous amounts of energy, but it was worth it because now humans could strike at Federation targets from a place the aliens could not reach. Jake's reconnaissance fleet was already in position to begin attacks on Federation supply lines and military bases. The stealth ships would hit targets across dozens of star systems before the aliens even knew the war had really started. Admiral Lisa Carter had spent decades building up Earth's military forces in complete secret, and now she was ready to show the Federation what humans had accomplished during their 50 years of exile. The alien leaders thought they were going to fight primitives with basic weapons, but instead they would face an enemy that had technology beyond anything they could imagine. The Federation declaration of war was exactly what Earth had been waiting for. For 50 years, humans had prepared for this moment, and now they were ready to show the galaxy that exiling them had been the biggest mistake the aliens had ever made. Jake Morrison looked out at the stars one more time, and then gave the Order to begin Phase 1 of humanity's return to galactic society.